Vic. This is not Rosecrans Vic. This is Rosecrans Vic.
I'm his evil twin.
I know people be getting confused.
This is my camera now. See, I don't even know where my camera is in my own studio. I'm his evil twin, Mr. Step In, Step Out. Don't get stepped on. Nah, what's up, bro?
What's up? You? Gabe, my guy.
Rosecrans Vic in my city. What's up?
Everybody, like, it's so funny. Like, the further your career's gone, further my career's gone, like, we get confused for each other. That's pretty cool.
All the time. I think when Adam 22 was here, I think he said it too. But then obviously all the West Coast artists, they come through. And, like, aside from, like, someone like Rucci, who was just on my show, like, Rucci knows us both, and Rucci knows that we look alike. Yeah. But then, like, his team will be like, yo, he looks like Vic. and then Rucci will be like, well, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know Vic, you know what I'm saying? But, but it's funny how it's, like, the joke now, at least with, like, West Coast artists, is, like, Vic has a twin in New York, and I think that's just mad funny.
I wish, like, we... like could switch places for like a week and then just do each other's interviews. That shit would be funny as fuck.
And just
see
not
if anybody notices.
So not tell. I mean, I feel like people we know will notice. Like the artists who we're friends with. Will notice.
If we just do all interviews that we've never interviewed them before, and we just switch places for like a week and then see who notices and who doesn't.
I feel like there'll be very few people who like actually may or may not notice. It won't be that many.
Yeah.
It won't be that many, but I think that would be funny because I would definitely. I have to brush up on like my West Coast lingo, and I'd have to like kind of figure out what have to be your accent.
I have accent. You have accent.
We both got accent, but I gotta figure out how to do that West Coast bop accent. You gotta figure out how to talk. You gotta like start enunciating shit like enunciating shit harder, like harder.
Harder, yeah.
Harder, like harder.
Fucking harder. You know, he's fucking wearing a wire. You know, I'll work on it.
Nah, it's not gonna work. They're gonna fold to me. They're gonna be like, Gabe, I didn't know you sound like you from the West Coast. I'm gonna be like, nah, it's not it.
Yeah. The funny shit is that like we actually met a long time ago. We met 2019.
Yeah, Rolling Loud,
New York. I remember being backstage in like the media area, trying to get interviews, and then I seen this dude that like dead ass. I'm like, that guy looks like me, bro. This is weird. And then seeing that we're like interviewing the same artist, right? Like I'm waiting for Coily Ray, you're waiting for Coily Ray, and I'm just like, it's weird. And then it could go one of two ways. It could either be like, man, I don't fuck with this dude because we're similar or something, or it could just be like, this guy might be cool, you know, like da da da. So we end up like just chopping it up because we're so close to each other for so long. I think I might have like gone up to him and be like, yo, what's up with Vic? Or I don't know how it exactly happened, but we connected, and then it's like it's been dope. It's like almost 4 years later to see like the growth from both of us. Cause I was out there thugging it, bro. Like we were like 6, 7 people in a hotel room deep, trying to go to Rolling Loud. I had 2 passes. We're like, fuck it, we're gonna get some content out here. We're gonna make connections, all this shit. And one of the connections I made, my boy Gabe P.
Yes, sir. So, and now we're locked in.
Now we're locked in.
Yeah, that Rolling Loud was crazy. The media tent was all fucked up.
Yeah.
A couple rappers went in there, got all the backwoods all over the floor, all the chips was all over. I was like,
there was like no service, like people stole all the waters.
The second and third day was better though, because that's when they put in like the couches and shit in there, and then they put lighting in there, and I was like, oh, okay, now it's an actual media tent. And then ever since then, like the media area for Rolling Loud in New York has always been pretty fire. This year was a little not as fire as last year, but it's always, you know, still better than what we had the first year.
Yeah. And so since like the times that I've come out here, definitely I always, you know, try to connect with you. You know, whether it's like you interviewing my artists or anything like that.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, bro, as much as I know Gabe, I don't know Gabe. Like, what's the backstory? Like, where did you come from? Where did you start? You know what I'm saying? And then obviously like we'll get into like the recent like super massive success.
Oh, so you want like the backstory?
Yeah.
So I pretty much like I feel like I've done like, well, it's tough because my family's a little bit from everywhere, right? So like early, I was born in Queens,
okay,
right, and I pretty much just spent most of my life between Queens and Long Island, out here, and also kind of Brooklyn too, because when I was a kid, like you know when you're like a kid before you go to school or like before you're able to go to school, before you're old enough, like your parents would throw you to your grandma, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you going to grandma's, right? So I spent like pretty much the first couple of years of my life out here in Brooklyn because that's where my abuela is. So I'd be there with her day to day, and then we moved out to Long Island when I was a kid. Then I did a lot of my schooling out in Long Island. Then I went back to Queens for school with St. John's, and I pretty much stayed out there up until now as an adult. But it's funny because it's like it's just so much back and forth. It's hard to, whenever people ask me, it's like, where is your family from? It's such a complicated thing because it's like, all right, I'm Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah.
Right? My mom is from Brooklyn. My dad is from the South Bronx, right? I'm a little bit from everywhere because I've lived a little bit of everywhere at this point. So it's kind of like, that's like always a tough question to answer because they're like, what do you rep? What do you rep? And I'm like, look, man, I rep Queens, I rep Long Island. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't specifically, I rep Brooklyn because my studio's in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
My family's from Brooklyn. My abuela is down the block. I can go see her right now, go get a nice home cooked meal.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's always a complicated thing. But I feel like I'm a little bit from everywhere just because of how much time I spent everywhere at the same time.
Like equal time everywhere,
Yeah.
I feel you 1,000%. That's even weirder, bro, because I have a similar story. The whole reason why my name is Rosecrans Vic is because I felt like I couldn't identify with like one exact city in LA because I first grew up I was born in Inglewood, grew up in Lenox, which is like right next to the airport, LAX, and then until 4th grade, then I moved to Bellflower, which is like a city like suburbs in LA.
Yeah.
Then I went to school in Downey, and then I graduated from Downey. Then I like moved, and then like my grandma was living in Hawthorne, which is like by SoFi Stadium and stuff like that. So like really, the people are like, "Where are you from?" And I never felt like I was from one particular city. Same.
Yeah.
So like, but the street that was always constant was Rosecrans. It's like a long ass street. So that's like why when people ask me like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm just like, "Well, I'm Rosecrans Vic."
Oh, so Rosecrans, like that block or the street went through everywhere that you had lived, essentially.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy,
I never knew that. That's a pretty dope story.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I wish I had something cool like that to say. I really don't. It's just like I lived here, and I lived here.
But that's cool because you feel like, I think that's what makes you the city champ. Like you're all around the city. You know what I'm saying? So
Nah, definitely. Even like my grandma, God rest her soul, from the Bronx. On my dad's side, like we would always be up there, in her place too. And then it's kind of weird trying to, because some people live one place their whole lives, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like honestly, shit, at least you have one place you could rep and you could be like, oh, I'm from here, right?
Yeah.
This is my hood, this is my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Or like if you live there for most of your early years of your life, your first 20 years of your life, you could be like, okay, I'm from Canarsie, right? Like that's where I'm from. That's where I've been. Doesn't matter if I live in Atlanta or Los Angeles now. I'm from there, right? But it's harder when you kind of been a little bit of everywhere and you just kind of like you feel like you've taken a little bit from each place that you lived. So it's not like I'm one particular way because I lived in Bushwick, right? Or I'm not this way because I lived on Hillside Ave in Queens, or I'm this way because I lived in Long Island. It's like okay, I'm like all these different things meshed into one. So it's always interesting, like, to talk about that because it's like I can't really ever say I'm only from one place, even if people want to be like, oh, you only from Queens, or oh, you only from Long Island, or even in some cases, oh, you might as well be from Brooklyn. Well, might as well isn't it? Like I'm just kind of like a little a mixed bag of everything, and then I can't like deny like the Bronx's influence on me because of my father too. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a Yankee fan, die hard.
Yeah.
You're wearing the wrong hat.
I am, right? I'm the evil twin now.
Yeah, you dead ass.
Everybody's like, all the New York homies are like, why are you wearing a Mets hat? I'm like, it goes with my fit. Like, I don't know.
That's a Pop.
Pop Smoke. Yeah, Pop Smoke.
Long live Pop, man.
Yeah, long live Pop.
Long live Pop.
Did you ever interview Pop?
No, I didn't. I met Pop a couple times though.
Okay.
I met Pop. I was there for his Angie Martinez interview.
Oh shit.
The one where he's wearing all white.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember if that was his last interview that he ever did. I don't want to be quoted like that, but I feel like it might have been
his last. Yeah.
Definitely one of his last interviews, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I had like a few other times that I had like ran into him at like events and other shit like that. I never got to like formally get to like meet him or have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
But like now I know like a lot of his guys, and I'm really locked in with that. Like Dreadwood, Ross Wish, the guys who were really around him during that time.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's always one of the things that I wish I could have done. But obviously I wish I could have done it then. But obviously I wish even more I could have done it now because of how his music has impacted New York and whatnot. And I wasn't really at the state of my career back then where I feel like I could have interviewed him. Like I wasn't big enough yet.
Yeah.
Where people be like, oh yeah, let's.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I'll never forget when I first saw him. Like the first time I ever saw Pop live was I had heard Welcome to the Party. I already knew that shit was already gone. And I was at this festival called The Greatest Day Ever in Coney Island. It's like an Adidas festival, right? Okay. So there was like a bunch of different people. Like Pusha T was on it, Boz was on it, some EDM DJs, some pop artists. I think the City Girls were also on it too.
Nice.
And I remember Pusha was on, right? And one thing about me is I will never miss a Pusha T set. I love Pusha T.
Yeah.
Like Daytona, I know that album back to back. From like top to bottom. That's what I know. And I remember he's like, yo, we in Brooklyn, blah 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 blah, this and that. He's like, I gotta bring out one of Brooklyn's own, and he brings out Pop, right?
Yeah.
And like the energy in that room, and this is in an amphitheater in Coney Island, and it was just insane. And like I remember from that moment, that was early in the summertime too. That was like before Welcome to the Party really hit its peak, and I was like, I remember from that moment on, I'm like, nah, this kid is a star. This kid's gonna be a legend. And I was trying to remember how old I am. I might have been like 20, 21 at the time.
Yeah.
No, I was definitely 21. I might have been 20, 21, 22. But I remember just seeing him, and I was just like, yo, bro, like this kid is gonna be something special. So I think that's always one of the things. Is just like I never got to meet Pop, but I'm glad I could still tell some parts of his story through like people like Dread, Rod, Tay Floss, you know what I'm saying? The people on point like OP. Anyone who's been involved with like projects that he's done, I'm just happy that I can, tell some part of the story through that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's dope that I feel like Pop was like a big like moment in time in New York that like revolutionized like so much shit. Like,
Facts.
Things changed after that, right? Mm-hmm. The whole sound of the city, whole like look of the city, and you today are like the biggest documenter of that culture that like he helped kickstart, right? So I think that's fire in itself. That like you said, you might not have been able to like really lock in with him at the time, but like from the groundwork and the impact he made, like you're continuing on that legacy with other people that were around him directly, and other people are just influenced by him.
Yeah,
the whole like drill scene and shit.
Yeah, no, that shit's pretty. I mean, that's a great part about it too. Like I said, like I just like being able to have the conversations, and even with like the freestyles and whatnot. Like I just be like, I don't know. I like to, as corny as it sounds, like I like to say that like when I have like those type of guys here, when I have like the Dreads, the Tays, the OPs, the Roz, like when they're around, it's like I like to think that like his energy is still very much present in the room when whatever we're doing, and like you said, it's like carry on the legacy of what he helped kind of blow up. You know what I'm saying? Because there were artists before him that were doing it, but he was the one that really brought it to the mainstream and really, you know what I'm saying? Like people in LA love Dior. You feel me? Like people in LA love Dior. People in LA love Welcome to the Party. And that wouldn't have those type of songs might have not touched like that far if it weren't for him. He was like one of the first to have songs that really reached that far on like a radio level, on like a mainstream level, on like that type of appeal. So I think that that's pretty cool. Is that that I can still tell that part of the story.
Yeah, no doubt. So you were doing the On the Radar radio thing.
Yeah.
For a while. How long have you been doing it? Like 2018?
4 years now? Yeah, 2018.
So you started in 2018. You're working at Power 105, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you start to like just interview like the upcoming talent in New York. And then they start to grow like with you, right?
Yep.
Is that like essentially what happened and like how your platform started growing?
Pretty much, yeah. Especially within like the last year and a half, we really tapped in like once the pandemic, because like we were doing a couple interviews here and there like before the pandemic and shit like that. But then like it was when we did Zooms, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I really started tapping in a lot with like a lot of stuff that was going on around the city. And then it was when we found this space here where I used to record my podcast. That's when we started tapping in with a lot of the young artists from like Brooklyn and from the Bronx and Staten Island and Queens that were really, really, really doing it. And then like we've just kind of since then in the last year and a half and dropping all these freestyles and things like that, we've really just been growing, you know what I'm saying? With them, with the city, and then of course, now like a lot of our focus is like outside the city, like obviously we've had a lot of dope people from LA on the show.
Yeah.
From the West, not just from LA, from the West in general, and like Afrobeats, we're doing a lot, but like obviously the core of On the Radar is always New York and where we started at, and I think that's really dope is that we've been growing with a lot of these artists, and obviously free all the guys that are locked up right now that have been on the show that aren't with us at this moment in time, but they'll be home soon.
Yeah, that's always the unfortunate time. I've dealt with so much of that like with my platform, so up to the point where like I felt like quitting at one point because everybody I had on my show, one after another, like got locked up.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, am I helping the fucking feds? Am I helping the LAPD like identify who these people are? Even though I never asked incriminating questions, but the thing is like as we well know, like they usually do it to themselves on their own Instagram.
Right.
They'll post this, they'll post that. I've always been one to never want to like ever ask them anything that can get them in any type of legal trouble or street trouble, not try to like pit them against each other, because like I feel like I always recognize the power that a media personality has, whether big or small. Like, if I just ask you to like pick your favorite radio personalities, and then you're just like, oh, I don't know, and then now you have to like choose between one, and then only the clip that says something like not so fond of like another person goes viral. Now you're like the guy who hates this person or whatever, you know. And it's like pitting people against each other. I've just never been into that, because in LA, I mean, anywhere, but I knew in LA there's so many consequences to everything that you do. There's not just like walk out the studio, that was funny, move on. Like, it's like, nah, what was that about, you know, type of shit. So I definitely feel you on that, like the people getting locked up, people passing. I've interviewed way too many artists that have passed on, bro, over this like 8-year period. It's like another one, you know, shout out like Key Riches from LA, from Compton. He passed away recently. It's just like, damn, man, like, how does another one, you know? And it's
think of like Draco, Catchy.
I had like so many of their first interviews, like first show bookings, like just, you know, just all that shit. It takes a toll after time, but then you know that like you're not doing anything wrong. It's just like kind of shit happens.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're like, you know, we're media personalities, and like obviously like because we're a hip hop platform, so somebody gotta go get that dough. But since we are like a hip hop platform, right?
Yeah.
We do deal with rappers and whatnot. It is like at the end of the day, like, you know, my thing about it is like whether we're asking incriminating questions or not, like cops are always probably just gonna watch like interviews with rappers, just to find something that can incriminate them. And that's like, you know, as long as you're just doing your part, you know, and you're not instigating any beef, because like I mean, you know, I came up under like Angie Martinez, so like I have learned the ways of being that middle person, you know what I'm saying? Being the person that isn't, you know, that's like what's the word I'm looking for? We're Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not involved.
Yeah.
But we're here to tell the stories.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part of it. As long as you're not doing anything to incriminate them on your side, then I think you're doing the right job, because you're at the end of the day, you're just trying to help them. But also at the end of the day, you know, like you said, like these are people on their own time, you know what I'm saying? They are their own individuals, and what they do on their own time is what really can mess them up. And unfortunately, you know, you see that a lot. Like, you know, God bless, I haven't had like many artists on my show that have that we've lost. But obviously I've had a lot of artists on my show that have gotten locked up.
Yeah.
So on that side of things, like that's like the really shitty side of it. Like, we put out an interview in a freestyle a couple days ago. Like, the artist got locked up the next day. I think he's home now, but I was like, when I saw that, I was like, fuck, man. I was like, we just put this shit out. It's getting good traction. You know what I'm saying? It's good. It's doing well for him because it's a good moment for him, and he killed that shit. And then now it's like, fuck, man. Now like I got to deal with, you know, him not being here. And like I said, he's home now. But like at the moment when I heard that, I was like all I could think in my head is, damn, another one. You know what I'm saying? Because I just hate to see that this happen to all like the young guys out here.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy. And then so you start doing the Zoom interviews.
Yeah.
What was the first like freestyle interview that really like took off for you?
Oh man, the first one that took off, I'm trying to think. That's a great question. Well, like, so the first one that definitely would have taken off would have been Shy K, right? Because Shy K, we actually have an unreleased Shy K freestyle somewhere on a broken hard drive.
Oh,
lost it. He was really the first Bronx drill rapper that ever did a Bronx drill freestyle on the radar, but it got lost, right? So that's why that one never came out. But I would probably say like the first two that probably popped off. Well, Siggy Black's was really fire, but his kind of popped off later on, like down the line. Like, it was mad random. Like, one day the video just shot up like 20,000 views, and I was like, oh, shit, that's pretty cool. But it was like months later. I'll say maybe probably, I want to say Nazi BK. Hold on, let me check. I'm gonna say Nazi BK, because Nazi BK was definitely one of the early freestyles we did.
Yeah.
Hold on, where the hell is it? I'm gonna check right now. But his shit went up pretty fast. His shit was like it hit like 100K within a week, I think. But I'll say his was probably the first one that really popped off crazy. And then obviously that just kind of like spiraled into everybody else, and obviously led us to like the now infamous D-Thang freestyle. Yeah. Which has like it's gonna be at 10 million views by the end of the year. Shit. Yeah, Nazi BK's freestyle, it's at like almost at 500K right now. Yeah. But like that was kind of like the first one that really kind of went stupid, and then the rest kind of like followed suit shortly after that, which led obviously to D-Thang and shit.
Wow, that's crazy. So did you realize while you were doing this and while you had this platform, was it always your intention to like, all right, I'm gonna cover the underserved like market of like Bronx drill or just like underground New York music because nobody else is doing it, or did you just be like, I just want my own platform and I'll figure it out later?
It was like very much my own platform and I'll figure it out later. But like obviously, you know, being in New York, it's tough because you're coming out the pandemic and you're thinking to yourself, you're like, damn, like, I look at platforms like, you know, if we talk about platforms that inspire me, obviously Breakfast Club, No Jumper, so on and so forth, or Fire in the Booth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I look at platforms that inspire me, I'm like, you know, this is what they do is great, right? But if I interview the same artist they interview, my shit probably won't get any views because if I was a consumer, I would just go watch their shit.
Yeah.
Fuck On the Radar, I'm gonna go watch their shit unless I really like, you know, me as an interviewer, right? So I'm like, what can I do to make myself stand out a little bit more? And I had like linked up already with a couple like underground New York City artists, like drill artists and things like that. So like that's kind of was like the thought process because I remember I told Adam this too. I watched there was like a No Jumper show. I think it was him and House Phone and they were talking about how Adam, like when he first got on, he saw like potential and like the Florida rap scene, blah 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 blah, and that's kind of like, you know, that's how he came up off of that, and that's obviously led to what you see today, and then also with that, like I kind of saw that with like the drill community, and I was like, okay, cool, like these kids is fire, they're from New York, we could get this stuff done, and we could you know we could go up together, and that's kind of like what happened. It never was intended to just be a drill platform, and it's not a drill platform. I think that's one thing that I want to make very clear is that On the Radar is not a drill platform. It's just like it'd be a lot of kids in the comments be like, oh, it's a drill platform. It's not. We got everybody from obviously West Coast artists like The Boy, Guap Dad, All Black, Incognita, Rucci, to like Florida artists. We do a lot of Florida artists, but obviously, you know, we have our biggest are like New York artists, of course, at the end of the day.
That's home base.
Still home base. It's the same thing as like if you had Draco the Ruler freestyle on the Rosecrans podcast, right? And then you had somebody from New York do it. Obviously, Draco would have gotten you millions of views, and like this kid would have gotten you some views, but like Draco was, because you're from LA first and foremost. Or like even the same thing with if we look at like Adam, if he had K-Flock and I had K-Flock on, and we had similar things, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just a regional thing. But at the end of the day, it's just, you know, I wanted to make a platform for everybody. I wanted to be the #1 music platform in the world, like artist platform, like, you know, like show, whatever you want to call it, podcast. I don't care, whatever people want to call it, they can call it. But like that's why we started diving more into like Afro beats and like other types of sounds too, because I think you know, music changes every couple years, every couple months, shit, every other week, and it's important to stay on the course with like what's hot, what's moving, and what your viewers want to see, and what people in general around the world, not just in your region, want to see too.
Yeah, I saw you had a Cranium.
Yes, Cranium. Yeah, we got that today. Shout out my guy, man.
That's super fire. That's diversifying the platform right there.
Yep, I just interviewed Thames the other day too, which was
Thames.
Yeah, I interviewed Thames the other day.
You were in Thames' presence?
Yes, I was in Thames' presence.
Wow.
It was angelic.
Was she wearing orange?
No, she was in all black. It was that Powerhouse? Yeah, she was in all black.
Oh, that Powerhouse.
Yeah. Why do you ask if she's wearing orange?
I don't know. The color orange, like that's her album thing.
Okay, yeah. Nah. But she was in all black. But like that's like also a part of me wanting to diversify the platform. You know,
that's so fire.
Because, you know, Afrobeats is such an incredible space right now, and I really only listen to Afrobeats when I drive. So I don't really listen to hip hop when I drive anymore. I only listen to Afrobeats because it's calm and it's
calm. Especially if you're in traffic, you want to like relax. You don't want to like think about drills while you're driving. You know?
Yeah, like
no drilling and driving.
No drilling and driving, but like I'll listen but I'll definitely listen. I'll definitely throw on some K-Flock or some D-Thing when I'm driving home late at night. Like, and I'm like, you know, and I'm in that mode like skirting through traffic and shit like that. Like I'll definitely do that. But as for like when I'm just like driving and chilling, I'm literally only listening to Afrobeats. But I think that's important because it's just like I said, it's such an incredible space right now, such a big market, and it's so big here on the East Coast. Like I know it's probably people listen to it over on the West Coast, but like in New York, like Afrobeats has taken over. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
so
you can't walk a couple blocks on a Saturday night without hearing Afrobeats coming out of the party.
I love Afrobeats personally. I listen to like Thames and DeVito and like all that stuff. But I think like a comparison for us probably now is like reggaeton is kind of like taking over.
There you go, yeah.
On the West Coast, there's like so many like new reggaeton events, and like everywhere you go, they're playing Bad Bunny, bro. Like everywhere. it's dope and it's a vibe and it's like for somebody like me that's like I grew up loving reggaeton. You know, once everybody else discovered it, like I mean, the majority of people discovered it with the Nori shit and like Oye Mi Canto and all that, and then they came like Bad Bunny came back and obviously like there's like Anuel and like everything and the culture out there is so strong. Like that's all
really I didn't know that.
Damn near people want to listen to. Like
Didn't
it's
know
crazy.
That.
The Bad Bunny sold out SoFi 2 days in a row back to back. He probably could have sold it out 3 or 4 days. It's like, I think that's our version because like you can't really go anywhere and like listen to Afro beats. Maybe there's a few places you can go to, but you can go to so many places and listen to reggaeton now.
Yeah, there's definitely a few LA like Everyday People. I don't know if you ever heard of them. Mm-hmm. They're dope party. They do a couple LA ones a year. I don't like in the summertime.
Yeah.
That's like probably the main place where you can probably go hear Afrobeats in LA. They're huge here too. Don't get me wrong, but there's also like a lot of other Afrobeat parties that happen every weekend here too at the same time.
I gotta check some out. Tell me about Ice Spice. This is the most current, like...
Why you want me to talk about Ice Spice, bro?
Ice Spice.
Shout out my sis, man. I love her.
Ice Spice.
I love her.
This is, I feel like...
What do you want to know about? What do you want to know about Ice Spice?
I feel like this is, like, what has been, like, the most viral thing. Like, you're a part of the story.
I know, it's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's super interesting to me that I'm just like, wow, like... For it to just, like, I first seen her on your platform, and then all of a sudden, like, just boom, like, she's every fucking where.
Right.
You know, like people say overnight success. Obviously, it wasn't overnight success.
Nah, she's been working. Don't ever get it twisted.
Yeah.
Ice Spice has worked for every fucking thing that she earned right now. Don't ever get it twisted. That girl works her ass off. I want to make that very clear. She's she ain't no fucking industry plant.
Yeah.
She ain't no fucking overnight success. Ice Spice has been working. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't speak on all the behind the scenes, but if you know, you know. Yeah. That's all that really needs to be said. You know? That's it.
So with that, I'm just like, okay, I know she's not overnight. And then, like, you go back and then you're probably still one of her only interviews. She hasn't really done too much press, right?
I think me and Black Dave, maybe, kind of.
Yeah.
But that was like an interview and a vlog, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it counts too. It definitely counts too.
And so, like, everybody's, like, discovering her now and has an opinion on her look and everything. Like, describe to me, like, how you first discovered her and then just, like, your relationship with her now and, like, how everything is, like, transpired.
So Ice Spice, well, I first saw her, I forgot exactly, like, the moment where I found her song, but I remember it was, like, when, I think it was, like, For the Name of Love, where it's For the Name of Love, that sample, Give me dirt, in the bag, I'm a smoochie, like, do not attack, like, that song, that was, like, the first song I heard from her, and I was like, this is fire. Right, but at the time I wasn't sure if I should bring her on the show just yet. You know what I'm saying? Cause I like.
It was like kind of early.
Yeah, like I like aligning things to be at the right time for artists when they come on my show. Like I like, cause I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like a me thing, but I feel like I know when it's like the right time, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm like, okay, now is the right time, and this shit gonna go up if we do it at this time. And I've been proven right a couple times, but I've been wrong also. But I think with her, like I was watching her, and I was talking to my man's Glenn Brown. He manages Cash Cobain. Great human being. Also one of my most trusted people. When I bring him music, I'm like, yo, bro, you like this person? I'll be like, nah, this person is burnt or whatever. Like, nah, don't do this. But he like me and him were talking, and he was like, yo, she's the one, right? Like there's a text in my thing. He's like, she's the one, and I'm like, I think so too. So I followed her from on the radar. I think she already followed us, and me and her just communicated. It was just literally, the thing is, like, at the time, people would always be like, yo, who's her manager, who does this, like, whatever, like, but, like, my thing is, like, every single piece of contact that I had with Ice Spice, it was through her. Like, me and her just, we situated everything on our own, right? Yeah. So she came here, she came with one person, I believe it was Riot, her producer, the one that does all of her beats, and we knocked it out, we banged out the freestyle, killed that, knocked out the interview, and, like, you know, the shit, like, who would have known that it would have done what it did? And the crazy thing about it is, like, we had a lot of other artists on at the time. You know, like, we had other female artists from the city, like Kenzo B and Shani Bonnie, and, like, those freestyles went viral as well. And Ice's, I think her shit did, like, 80K first. It had, like, 80K, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like, I thought it was going to do more, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted it to do more.
Yeah.
Because, like, the other girls, they had, like, 300, 400,000 at the time. Shani was going to hit a milli. And I was like, damn, man, like, I want Ice's, like, I'm like, what is it going to take for Ice's shit to go up? You know? But oftentimes, I think I forget that, like, you know, I'm still so early on in this show that the longevity of how a lot of these pieces of content, like, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
All this shit is still very new. Like, even D-Thang, that shit has only been out for a year now. So, like, the longevity of how, you know, people are going to watch it 5 years from now, it's still different.
Yeah.
So then, you know, she previews Munch, right? And I'm like, oh, fire, like, this shit better go up, right? She drops Munch, goes viral. The freestyle ends up hitting, right now when we're recording this, I think it's about at 800,000 views.
Oh, shit.
So put it this way, it jumped from about 80, 90,000 views to 800,000 views in 2 months.
Yeah.
Since she dropped Munch. It's been like 5 or 6 months since we dropped the freestyle. And then that's not even including the YouTube short that hit 1 million. So in reality,
the Nike Tech one?
No, I'm talking about the freestyle.
Oh, the freestyle. Okay.
So the YouTube short of the freestyle hit 1 million already too. So really, the freestyle has 2 million views on the channel.
Wow.
Realistically. YouTube shorts of the future in case anybody has any question about that. But like all the Nike Tech one got like 4 million views on IG Reels.
Oh shit.
So
it's all over like TikTok too, like people remixing it and shit.
Yep, and the thing is like the Nike Tech one, that was like a clip that was never even posted from the interview. Not that I never cut it out of the interview, it's in the interview,
yeah,
but I just never cut that clip.
You never clipped it yourself.
I never clipped it myself. And then like I think it was Made in America weekend up here, and I saw somebody post it. I'm like, yo, that's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't I ever cut that clip? Like, I thought to myself, I'm like, why didn't I ever cut that clip? I normally cut at least 15 social clips for an interview, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm an idiot. I didn't cut that. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this up. I cut it, posted it on the gram. Because, like, the video I had seen, it was already going up, like, a little bit, but it wasn't going up, like, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So then I posted it on the gram, and that's when that clip took on a life of its own, bro. Took on a life of its own, and then there was the Nike, you owe Ice and me a check.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or
Nike
like at
text.
least free Nike text for life. Like,
yeah,
you know
you deserve free Nike text for life.
I'm just saying. I think
don't let Ice Spice see you in one.
Man, sorry, that's see people.
I'm just kidding,
it's okay. Now people be like, what do you think about Ice Spice? It's tough because it's like when I work with these artists, like I literally look at them as like little little brothers or sisters after that too. You know what I'm saying? Because they're all younger than me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's funny when people be like, "Oh, Ice Spice," I'm like, this is like. I feel like this is like my little sister.
No,
that's how I look at it. So that's why people be like, "Don't wear your Nike Tech around Ice Spice." I'd be like, I'll let my employees make those jokes. Like they can make those jokes, but I'm not gonna make those jokes because that's my family.
Yeah, because you don't want to make her like feel uncomfortable. It's hard enough being a woman in the industry.
Yeah,
and especially like she's beautiful, obviously, and respectfully, and
see.
I said respectfully.
You see how motherfuckers be, bro? Motherfuckers talking about Ice Spice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Respectfully. Shout out sis.
So, and like I said, it's like everybody is, shooting their shot, and it's like, I'm sure, like anybody else, bro, like she just wants to be treated normally. Not everything has to be like sexualized or, innuendos or whatever. So, like, I feel you and I respect that because there's a lot of people that just like can't wait to like interview her just to like ask
say
her
some
about
dumb shit to her,
her boyfriend or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, to just get in that like messy type of lane. But I'm glad she hasn't actually done too much press because like one, it boosts yours. If people want to know anything about her, like, oh, just have to go to you. And then also it's just like she's not being overexposed because I feel like people are trying to find any reason like tear her down. Yeah. And that's so whack to me. And it's like, oh, she doesn't know how to perform. It's like, bro, like, no shit. Like, she's a new artist. Like, you try doing that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's gonna get better. But, like, she's doing the work. She's putting the reps in. And she's getting booked. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of artists aren't getting booked and don't even have the opportunity to fail on a scale that big. You know
That's
what I'm
a
saying?
fact.
So, like,
and also, leave my fucking... Don't ask her no dumb shit in interviews, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already off that shit and it hasn't even happened. Like, don't ask her no dumb shit. Like, don't make no fucking crude jokes at her. Like, just let her be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously she's beautiful, right? Yeah. Obviously a lot of y'all are attracted to her. You don't need to ask her dumb shit in interviews, okay? She already gets it enough on the internet. Yeah. Like, she sees it every day. Think about what it's like to be her. You know what I'm saying? Obviously a lot of guys are going to be like, oh, but like, you don't know what it's like to be a woman. You know what I'm saying? In this industry. And what she probably has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So leave her the fuck alone.
Facts. Absolutely.
Shout out Ice Spice, man. Bikini Bottom going crazy.
That song is fire. And shout out the homie, director of A&R over at 10K. He was like, bro, we just got Ice Spice. I was like, that's hard. Now I'm glad that like she's in good hands because they have like a really good
yeah, 10K got a lot of dope artists. Yeah. I don't want to say anybody's names who haven't been announced to 10K yet, but shout out to all my guys and all my girls who are over at 10K, man. If y'all know, if you know, you know. But they got a great team over there.
They're killing it.
Yeah, they got a great team over there for sure.
Hell yeah. Shit, bro. This was fun.
Absolutely.
Anything else you wanna tell people?
Shit. On the Radar going crazy. Make sure you go follow On the Radar. Go check out that YouTube page. Go subscribe. I'm trying to hit I know it's only like a month and a half left of this year, right? 2 months left.
Yeah.
2 months left. But I want to hit. I'm at 163,000 subs when we're recording this, so I want to hit 200 by the end of the year. I know that's a long shot.
Let's get my boy to 200K.
That's a long
All my
shot.
West Coast fans, if you're not tapped in On the Radar yet, you need to be. Tap the fucking my evil twin on the East Coast.
Facts.
Nothing but good quality content. Dope content. No like messy, weird, boring, just responsible journalism, but also fun.
Yeah,
You
still
feel
have
me?
a good fun time with it.
You know,
Also, shout out all my West Coast fans. Shout out, oh man, what's the West Coast blog? Hold on, I gotta shout them out because I fuck with them heavy. There's a West Coast blog that's been posting all the On the Radar stuff that we've been doing. I want to shout them out because I fuck with them. New West Coast TV.
Oh yeah, New West Coast TV.
Shout out New West Coast TV, man.
Yeah.
They've been starting to post some of our West Coast freestyles.
Yeah.
Just want to say I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody who fucks with us on the West Coast. More West Coast artists are on the way through Vic, through my good folks over on the West Coast. Obviously, we got your artists coming through today.
Yes, sir. Shout out my boy 22G Faye.
Yep, 22G's Faye, Lil Maru, Rucci.
Yep.
R3 the Chili Man out
R3,
now.
R3,
Woo, that
he's
boy
hard.
slid.
Bro, he's hard.
And a lot more West Coast stuff on the way for On the Radar. You know what I'm saying? We not here to take over one coast. We're here to take over the world. So
That's right.
so I appreciate you, my brother.
No, you already know.
You can follow me On the Radar Radio at Gabe PNYC. On the Radar. That's a brand. That's a channel. That's a podcast. That's a show. It's the future. Go tap in.
That's right. Gabe P. Rosecrans Vic. Rosecrans Vic Podcast. Yeah.
Evil Twins. We out. Bah!
Dope. All right, let's get some photos real quick.
And then on to the next one.
Yeah.
On to